Have you ever stood outside on a clear, dark night, far away from the glare of city lights? You look up, and there they are, countless points of light scattered across an endless black canvas, a silent, glittering spectacle that has captivated humanity since the dawn of our existence. We have always been stargazers. Our ancestors charted their movements, using them to navigate vast oceans. They used them to predict the changing of seasons. They saw pictures in the chaos, naming constellations after their gods, naming them after their heroes, and sometimes their fears. This cosmic ocean has always pulled at something deep within us. It sparks a fundamental curiosity that defines our species. This profound connection to the cosmos is not just a scientific pursuit, it is a spiritual one. It forces us to confront the grandest questions of all. Where did all of this come from? What is our place in this immense silent universe? Are we alone? These are not modern questions born of telescopes and space probes. They are ancient inquiries, echoing through the millennia. The same questions were whispered around campfires thousands of years ago, as our ancestors looked up at that very same sky. The sheer scale of it all can make us feel incredibly small, yet also strangely connected to something vast and magnificent. Before we had the language of astrophysics and cosmology, we had the language of faith and mythology. We told stories to make sense of the grandeur above. Every culture in every corner of the world has its own creation story and its own cosmic map. These narratives sought to explain the sun's daily journey, the moon's gentle phases, the steady march of the stars. They were our first attempts to understand our origins and our destiny. This innate desire to understand our cosmic home is woven into the very fabric of our being. It is a quest for meaning in a universe that often appears silent and indifferent. And that brings us to one of the oldest and most influential collections of stories our world has ever known, the Bible. A book that has guided billions of people for thousands of years. It speaks of creation, of purpose, and of humanity's relationship with the divine. But in this ancient text, filled with tales of earthly struggles and spiritual triumphs, is there any room for the cosmos? So we ask the question directly. Does the Bible ever talk about space, about other worlds, about life beyond Earth? The answer is not as simple as a yes or a no. It is, like many great mysteries, complex and layered. The men who wrote the books of the Bible did not have our modern understanding of the universe. They did not know about galaxies or black holes or the near-infinite expanse of space. Their world was one of a flat Earth depiction, or a domed Earth firmament, with a celestial canopy above. Their language was born of their time, a pre-scientific era. They spoke in terms they understood. We must read these texts with that perspective in mind. To search for the word planet or alien would be a futile exercise. But that does not mean the conversation ends there. The Bible is filled with passages that describe the heavens, the stars, and the vastness of creation in ways that are truly awe-inspiring. It speaks of a creator who is not limited to just our world. It hints at a reality that is far grander than what we can see with our own eyes. The question is not whether the Bible uses our scientific terms, but whether its spirit and its message leave room for a universe teeming with wonders we are only just beginning to discover. Think about it this way. If an all-powerful creator was revealing truths to people thousands of years ago, how would they communicate the concept of a galaxy? How would they explain the physics of star formation to a society that had not yet invented the wheel? They would use metaphors. They would use poetry. They would speak of the heavens, the firmament, and the host of heaven. These are the words we must investigate. Are these terms just poetic descriptions of the sky as seen from Earth? Or could they be something more? Could they be the ancient equivalent of our modern cosmic language? This is the heart of our journey. We will peel back the layers of language and time. Our investigation begins, as it must, at the very beginning, the book of Genesis. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. This is one of the most famous lines ever written. Right from the start, there is a distinction. There is the earth. And then there are the heavens, plural. The text does not say heavens singular, as in a spiritual realm, but heavens suggesting a vast physical expanse. The story continues, describing a world that is formless and empty, with darkness over the surface of the deep. This deep is a fascinating concept. Is it merely the chaotic waters of a primitive Earth, or could it represent the primordial void of space itself? On the second day of creation, the story gets even more interesting. And God said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters." This firmament, which God called heaven, was made to separate the waters below from the waters above. For ancient cultures, this was often interpreted as a solid dome holding back a celestial ocean. But what if we look at it through a different lens? What if the waters above is a poetic way of describing the nebulae, the gas clouds, the cosmic matter that we know exists throughout the universe? A separating expanse, a firmament, sounds a lot like what we simply call space. Then, on the fourth day, God places lights in this firmament. "Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night." He made two great lights, the sun, the moon. But then the text adds something crucial. He made the stars also. This is stated almost as an afterthought, a casual act of immense power. He made the sun to rule the day, the moon to rule the night, and then all the stars. All of the billions upon billions of stars we now know exist, each potentially with its own system of planets. The Bible presents this colossal act of creation with stunning brevity, hinting at a power that is truly beyond our comprehension. Leaving the creation narrative, we find the poetry of the cosmos echoing in the Old Testament, especially in Psalms. The psalmists were masters of observation. They looked at the same night sky we do and were moved to praise. Psalm 19, "The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands." This isn't just about beauty, it's about information. The heavens are not silent, they are speaking. What are they saying? Power, or the scope of his dominion. The psalmist in Psalm 8 felt humility. "When I consider your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon, the stars, which you have set in place, what is mankind?" We feel this more now. Our sun, one of hundreds of billions of stars in our galaxy. Our galaxy, one of trillions. The Bible also suggests God's connection to the stars is intimate and personal. Psalm 147. He determines the number of the stars and calls them each by name. He knows the count and names them. A designation, an identity. This anthropomorphic language suggests detail and purpose. The prophetic books of the Old Testament often look to the future, to a time of ultimate restoration. And when they do, their language often becomes cosmic in scale. The prophet Isaiah, in particular, speaks not just of a renewed kingdom on earth, but of a complete recreation of the entire cosmos. In chapter 65, God declares, "See, I will create new heavens and a new earth. The former things will not be remembered, nor will they come to mind." This is a radical statement. It's not about renovating the old world, but about a complete and total cosmic rebirth. What does it mean to create new heavens? The Hebrew word for heavens, shamayim, is the same one used in Genesis 1, verse 1. The entire expanse of space, the stars, and everything in it, then the promise of new heavens, implies a renewal on a universal scale. This isn't just about a new sky above Jerusalem. This is eschatology, the theology of end times, at its most grand. It suggests that God's plan of redemption is not limited to humanity on planet Earth, but encompasses the whole of his creation, the entirety of the universe. This idea is echoed in Isaiah chapter 40, which speaks of God's immense power in cosmic terms. Who has measured the waters in the hollow of his hand, or with the breadth of his hand marked off the heavens? Who has held the dust of the earth in a basket, or weighed the mountains on the scales and the hills in a balance? This is the language of a being who is not contained by the universe, but who contains it. A being for whom the entire cosmos is a small, manageable thing. When we turn to the New Testament, we might expect the focus to narrow, to fixate solely on the life and mission of Jesus on earth. And for the most part, it does. Jesus' primary mission was to humanity. He spoke of farming, of fishing, of family, things that were immediate and relatable to his audience. He rarely, if ever, spoke directly about the nature of the stars or the structure of the cosmos. His parables were grounded in the soil of Galilee, not the dust of distant galaxies. But even so, there are moments where his words seem to crack open the door to a much larger reality. Perhaps the most famous and debated of these moments is found in the Gospel of John, chapter 14. On the night before his crucifixion, Jesus comforts his distraught disciples with a promise. "My Father's house has many rooms. If that were not so, would I have told you that I am going there to prepare a place for you?" For centuries, this has been interpreted as a beautiful metaphor for heaven, where believers will have a place to dwell with God. The word rooms or mansions in older translations comes from the Greek word monai, which means dwelling places or abodes. But some have wondered if this passage could have a more literal cosmic meaning. My Father's house. Is the house simply a non-physical heaven, or is it the entire universe? If God created the entire universe, then the universe is, in a sense, his house. And in this vast cosmic house, are there many dwelling places? Could Jesus have been making a statement that was profoundly simple and yet mind-bendingly vast? Beyond the words of Jesus, the writers of the New Testament also spoke of the cosmos in ways that hint at its significance in God's grand plan. The Apostle Paul, in his letter to the Colossians, makes a staggering claim about the supremacy of Christ. He writes, "For in him all things were created, things in heaven on earth, visible, invisible, whether thrones, powers, rulers, authorities, all things have been created through him and for him." Notice the scope, not just things on earth, not just visible things, but all things, everywhere. This passage is one of the most comprehensive statements of creative power in the entire Bible. Paul explicitly includes things in heaven and even invisible things. He speaks of thrones or powers or rulers or authorities, which are often interpreted as spiritual beings or angelic hierarchies. But the language is expansive. It suggests that Christ's creative and redemptive work is not limited to humanity. His authority extends over every aspect of the universe, seen and unseen.